So as you can probably guess, this has been a busy 2 weeks for me trying to put things together for 3 fairly big videos. In this particular video, we will be going over the ever-unfolding T-lexify situation that's exploding between him and his ex Reagan. Before we get into it, please be sure to like this video, comment down below, and if you like my channel and you understand the fact that I don't post that frequently or consistently, but you still want to show support by subscribing, I want to let you know that I very much appreciate viewers such as yourself. So, for those that don't know, T-lexify has been a staple of the Call of Duty Zombies community for, golly, so many years now. Most of the friends of mine who were huge zombie fans growing up also watched his channel. But as it turns out, he has a fairly dark past starting just before he turns 20 years old, and continuing for several years after that, and his ex decided to blow the situation wide open, which caused T-lexify in return to expose Reagan as well. The first post that I saw was this one, where Lexify is sharing pictures of Reagan's own personal journal or diary, an entry from when she was reportedly 20 or 21 years old, where she's detailing her sexual encounters with someone that she acknowledges is only 17 years old. Apparently, Lexify had discovered these back in the day, and it was one of the major reasons for them breaking up. He explains her type of behavior and how controlling she was, and most people could quantify the way she made demands of him and the way she talked to him and manipulated him would definitely count as emotionally abusive, but in return, she posted her own receipts showing that he was grooming her when she was around 16 years old. She even had videos of him kissing her and touching her inappropriately when she was 16 years old. She also shows messages showing him trying to be manipulative and emotionally abusive, claiming that he could be emotionally and physically abusive, and he raped her. They both kind of had a demand of the other person when the other person was in trouble or in the wrong, demanding that whoever was in the wrong should in fact grovel, acting weird and pathetic to each other, depending on which person in the argument was wrong at which time. And then if the other person had done something wrong, and they were the ones in emotional debt to the other, they would kind of return that favor. It was very weird and creepy to read through all of their interactions with each other. This relationship was so psychotic from beginning to end, obviously. It's a very weird and creepy relationship between two people demanding some type of creepy dominance over the other. Just read this weird apology message that he sent her. T-lexify referring to himself in third person as Dada. Some of the things that he's apologizing for are obviously very weird things. Like very small, meaningless things that she obviously blew way out of proportion. This whole thing is very mentally unhealthy from every direction you look at it. And then he ends it by saying, "You will be my child forever." Like, what the fuck? And that's not the only weird statement that he makes. Because some people tried to argue, well, maybe he didn't see her as a 16-year-old. Maybe she seemed like a grown woman to him. But he revels in the fact that she was underage. And he celebrates the fact that he is dating and sleeping with a minor. Just wait. So she tried to deny later that her friend that she was sleeping with was 17 years old at the time and claims that he was in fact 18, but there are at least 3 times in her own writings where she identifies the individual was in fact 17 years old when they were having their sexual fling. So yeah, at first, Lexify was trying to play it off like Reagan was the only devious person in the situation, and she is devious, but then when all of his dirty laundry got aired out, he then tried to play the religious angle, saying that he knows that he's obviously disappointed a lot of people and that he's messed up, but no worries, because he's so sorry, and it's okay because he's now saved and he's a Christian, and you should be proud to know that he is finally dating someone his own age at the moment, and he's moving on to have a better life and have some kids of his own someday, which people are calling the firecracker approach. And if you don't watch The Boys, you're probably just not going to get it, so don't worry about it. But this is in complete contrast to his initial message where he claims to have always dated women around his age or older, which again later he admitted wasn't true once the dirty laundry got completely aired out. Part of this that is so crazy is he provides this Google Doc where he shows she had bitten him on his face and drew blood. And he claims it was not consensual, even though there are literally messages where he requests her to do stuff like that to him. But he also shows where she had pitched a fit and damaged a door, which he had to pay for, and then showed where she had pitched yet another fit and sent him messages demanding that he kill himself, and she made other demands threatening that if they were not met, she would expose him for dating an underage girl such as herself and ruin his career. And yes, if she was having such a problem with him and she felt safe enough to yell at him and tower over him and treat him this way, obviously she had her own power and will to leave the relationship if she truly wanted to. But for some reason, she decided to stick it out, seemingly because she liked having the power of holding these threats over him and getting her way. Which at this point so far, though, I'm not really feeling bad at all for TLEXIFY, because if you ask a girl to bite you till you bleed, you seem like a fucking idiot when you complain about it after the fact. If you don't want the person you're dating to act like an entitled, spoiled child who will pitch a fit, damage things around her, and blackmail you with threats of exposing you for being a pedo, a really good trick in avoiding being in such a situation is, I don't know, how about you don't date or have sex with an immature child in the first place? I mean, it's pretty obvious through a lot of her messages that she has a very psychotic, manipulative behavior, and she is super immature, and if she was an adult talking to him like this, then yeah, maybe you could feel bad, but if she was an adult talking to him like this, there would be no leverage of which for her to blackmail him in the first place. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't matter if the child you chose to date is a psychopath, you shouldn't have dated the child. And yes, she is a psychopath who is manipulative, but so is he. He literally is playing the victim because he met his own match. Do you understand that? Her response to all this was then dropping her own Google Doc, which she said she was having trouble in doing so she decided to throw everything onto Twitter instead. Oh joy. Fortunately, she had the foresight enough to censor the more problematic portions of the things she posted, including the blurring out of a fan's name. That fan, by the way, reportedly being an underage girl, of which TLEXIFY replied to with a video of himself blowing her kisses. Another individual shows messages where t-lexify was flirting with her and Skyping her when she was 13 years of age. There are multiple other victims here. Reagan explained that he was having several sexual and inappropriate conversations with other underage fans. Reagan finally uploads her other Google Doc, doing her best to explain her side of the story in totality. She shows how the relationship began when she was 15 and he was 18, not thinking that the difference was all too much. He seemed more shy and reserved. She seemed much more energetic and forward. And even though he was older, when you read the message, it does come off as essentially him following her lead in this. She's taking several trips to come see him and be with him and hang with him in his place, at friends' places. He's telling all of his friends that she is actually 18. At one point, he even makes a fake passport for her, which is hella illegal, doing so simply so they could go to an escape room together with friends and, so no one would find out he was dating a minor. He took her to Disneyland at some point because she grew up poor and never got to do that. She explains at one point down the line, he became sexually demanding and basically was treating her like a sex toy, and also becoming increasingly sexual and aggressive. She points out that she didn't have anywhere near the sex drive that he did, and he very early on in their relationship manipulated her or trained her to say things that he liked to hear her say, like calling him things like daddy to fuel his kinks. When she finally turned 18, they then have this conversation. Yeah, calling her his little minorling is pretty fucking crazy, I know. She also shows that from the very beginning, back when she was 15, he decided to start sexting her images of Mr. D-lexify, if you catch my drift. So yeah, even though in her initial messages where she seems like the one who has the most energy and is being the most forward and he is reserved and shy, that's obviously because she was a fan talking to the individual that she was a fan of, and she was getting really excited about that, and he was playing it cool until he could then slip in his dick pics. She said she remembers it vividly because it was the first time she ever had anything close to a sexual interaction with somebody. And if you look at the timeline that he provides and she provides, and you triangulate, it appears very clearly that she gets her craziest when she starts to feel that she's being used and abused, which she was. But this also doesn't excuse her for then later, by her own definition, quote, raping her own minor of 17 years old. Even if she tries to lie and say that he was 18 in the same way that TLEXIFY tried to lie and say that she was 18, she knew exactly what she was doing. She knew exactly what that individual's age was. She makes it very clear in her own writing on several occasions, just like TLEXIFY knew what he was doing and knew what her age was. The defensive fandom basically either became non-defensive of either of the two after seeing all the developments, or they still picked a side, dug in their heels, and started an argument that basically consisted of, your content creator is a bigger predator. No, your content creator is a bigger predator. I'm going to save you guys a lot of time and several brain cells. Both of these individuals are predators. Both of these individuals are manipulative narcissists. This whole thing is tragic and disgusting from beginning to end, and you should not be trying to find some side to pick, to be defensive of, because there's nothing to defend. I know initially, before the more serious details of this came out, the original arguments I was hearing was she cheated on him. Well, he cheated on her first. Well, it turns out both of those statements are true, but each person both cheated on each other with other minors. And Reagan was a minor to begin with. So we essentially just watched two people expose each other as predators, hoping that if they did it hard enough, they would be the ones that gained sympathy and be seen as the victim. No, f that. They're both done. They're both cooked. Game over. Okay, it's time to just move on. Okay, we still have Milo. And Milo, please God, do not fuck up your life or career or the zombies community with some stupid shit like this. Please, please don't. You are literally right now the Mr. Rogers of the zombies community. Do not turn out to be a Bill Cosby, because it feels like in the last several months, everywhere I turn is another motherfucking Bill Cosby. Anyways, that's the end of this video. I am so beyond done with this shit. I just want to go back to talking about first-person shooters. But anyways, if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys next time.